Good morning everyone, welcome to day 10 I believe it is of the 100 day challenge. For those of you who don't know, my name's Chris, I'm an illustrator from Australia, and this is my personal challenge to take on two different challenges in these 100 days. The first one where I spend 30 minutes a day minimum on a comic story I'm working on for the 100's comic anthology. You can find a link down below in the description for that one. And also to tackle my ongoing weight issues and to become a healthier person. So here we are, day 10. I'm on my way to work this morning. I've been up bright and early to get some work done. Happy to say that I've finally finished all 6 pages of the thumbnails for the comic book, which is fantastic. Definitely on schedule, sort of mentally on schedule at least. I know that I don't want to spend too much time working on this because there is another project that I want to work on as soon as this is finished, and I'm really looking forward to getting onto that project, but I've just got to get this 6-pager done and out of the way. It's almost kind of like a prelude artistically towards this next comic. Story-wise, it has nothing to do with it. I suppose it could be considered in the same universe, but otherwise they have no connection. This is just me really developing a new style that I've been working with, which you've probably seen a lot on my Instagram anyway. So 6 pages are thumbed. I got started into page 1 of the pencils, but before I did that I realised that I need to do all the lettering first, just to make sure that everything's going to fit in and that I'm not going to be blocking out characters with the letters or blocking out any important parts on each panel of the comic. So this will be the first time I've actually dealt with lettering in Manga Studio. I know it's set up to work that way, so you can pretty much do 100% of the comic book work within Manga Studio. So I had to go with the text and speech bubble tool, and it took me a little bit to figure it out, but after a little while I got it working. Here's a screenshot of how it's looking. It's actually quite simple. The text tool works as normal, like you would with Photoshop or maybe not Illustrator, but Photoshop and any other editing program like that. So you type in your text as you would want it formatted. So for me, I prefer all my lettering centered, aligned center. I don't like it aligned to left or right. And I like to use a nice comic book font. I use some of the fonts that you can find over on Glambot. There's a lot of free ones, as long as they're used for comic book purposes. They're 100% free to use, which is fantastic. There are some paid ones which are really top notch and look fantastic, but I'm on a budget, so I'm just using the ones that I have, and I downloaded a whole bunch when I was working on Devon Warrior, so I kind of had some reserves to play with. So I've got one that I really like, but I can always change it later on if I think that the style of the lettering doesn't fit the comic itself. So once you've got the lettering done, you can then add your speech bubble over the top of it, and it kind of works within the same layer. They link themselves, but they're also separate items, kind of like if you were working in Illustrator, for example. Pardon me. So you can put your speech bubble around your text, and then you can move the text accordingly. The only thing I don't like about it, unless I'm not using it properly, is I can't seem to edit the speech bubble after it's been put down, but I can add onto the top of it. So if I wanted, say, two elliptical bubbles on top of each other, so it's a part of a longer conversation from one character, so I don't want one giant speech bubble, but I want one and one, 2 speech bubbles joined together. I feel like it's hard to explain in words, but I hope you guys understand. You can do something like that quite easily. And then once you're done and the layout's perfect, you can then select that whole layer and it will move the speech bubble and the text around as one component. But say when you're coming back to it, or you need to do some edits on the lettering, you can do that really easily just by selecting the text and changing it, and it won't change the speech bubble at all. Yeah, it's quite intuitive, but at the same time I feel like it's going to take me a little bit of time to really get used to it. At the time I was doing it, I was going to hang out with Mike and some other people, so I didn't have a chance to jump up on YouTube and have a proper look at how other people are doing it. So that's one thing I might do this evening or tomorrow, is actually have a look at some tutorials on how people are doing the lettering in there, because I'm sure I'm missing a few things, but yeah, I'm learning as I go, as I've mentioned before. But it's all looking good. I got the letters done on page 1, so I started the pencils. I only really got maybe 1/5 of the way into the pencils on the first panel, so not a whole lot. As you've seen, my thumbnails are really, really rough, so now I'm just laying down the foundations. And as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that there's a good chance I'm probably going to be doing at least 2 passes on the pencils before I move into the inks, because I really want them to be quite solid. So when it comes to the inks, there's not very much thinking work involved. I can just ink it, it's done, and then put in my halftones or screen tones, however you call them. Yeah, so that's where I'm at today. Pretty happy with my results, even if I don't get a chance to do anything this afternoon, which I probably won't because I've got a whole lot of house chores to do. If these things build up over time, and with the heat the past few days, it just made it unbearable to actually get around the house and do these bits and pieces and do the gardening and things like that, because it's just too hot to deal with. So now I have to play catch up, which is fine. It's got to be done. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching the videos as always. Thank you everyone for the comments. I love hearing from you. I always try and comment as quickly as I can, because I love to converse with you guys. So if you've got any thoughts on my process, or if you've got any questions, please throw them down below. Otherwise, give the video a like, it's always appreciated. And subscribe too, so you don't miss the videos, because I'll be doing these for another 90 days. So I'll see you guys soon.